Hey folks, this is Doc Stars. It is the early evening of December 31st. This is a public service announcement, an alert for the evening. There's some hard times coming in January, and I just want you to be aware of it. This is just going to be a brief update. I'm going to describe some of the issues really quickly, and then I will try to do at least one more update this month. If I get a chance, I'll do a couple of them. So, for most people collectively, this is how it's going to go down. People that indulge a little bit too much will have a much greater chance for a pretty horrible hangover the next day. So what I'm trying to tell you is, if you party tonight, you do the New Year's Eve party thing, be extra mindful in how much you indulge, how much you consume, who you spend your time with, what your overall frame is like. The reason is that on the 1st, there's going to be collectively a much greater potential for a nasty hangover. Like, if you're the kind of person that doesn't usually get a hangover, I would say that the chances of you getting one the next day are much higher. If you're someone that does get hangovers, it'll be a doozy. But it's important not just, to be moderate because of the potential for hangovers the next day. It's important for you to be moderate this evening because there's some pretty heavy energy coming in. And the first part of January is going to be rough. I wish I had good news. I hate to be a party pooper. It's nice when I can say something that's inspiring and encouraging and gives people a lift and sets them in hopefully a good direction. But I feel like I have to also be as honest and direct, straight about what's coming up. So pretty much, not quite, but almost the first 2 weeks of January is going to be a shit show. Like, it's going to be lousy. For most people, energy will be low. People's bodies won't be feeling very energetic. It's going to be a tough time for people to get through. And if you're someone who's sensitive, if you wrestle with things like depression or anxiety, dark thoughts, what you need to understand is there's kind of an unhappy drama that's playing out in the collective mind. And if you're sensitive, chances are you might have moments where it can be difficult to differentiate between what belongs to you and what belongs to the collective. There's different ways of doing it. Some different ways work better for different kinds of people, but a really good general rule to follow would be, if over the next week or so, especially if you have situations where you have kind of like an ominous sense of dread, or you feel overwhelmed or depressed or lethargic, or you can't get much done, but you're also left largely wondering where those thoughts and feelings are coming from, and they don't necessarily seem normal or familiar. Like, they might have a bit of an alien type quality to it. So if you're in that sort of situation, shake it off. Understand that you might be soaking up the neurosis and other mental imbalances floating around the collective continuum. You don't want to take on what you don't own and that you're not responsible for. It's not a good time to get stuck in that sort of situation. So because the first 2 weeks of January are so challenging, my advice to you is don't start the month off with a hangover. It's going to be, if you do the absolute best that you can to stay calm and balanced for just the first week of January, it'll probably make a huge difference. in an update, I'll try to give people insights onto there's actual specific days where things go kind of into a black hole in January. Ones later in the month, and then the first ones within the first 10 days of January. You'll know when it's coming. It'll feel like a pressure building pretty much from the first onwards until it hits. You'll feel it incrementally each day. So there's a few different paths through this that are preferred. I'll try to talk about that in more detail in a following update or following updates. I've been looking at this time period again from multiple perspectives. If you've been following any of my videos recently, you know that I like to use a multi-model approach so that I can understand a chunk of space and time from different perspectives, with the hope that it yields a more holistic understanding. So there's a lot of just crap going on, both from a heliocentric perspective as well as a geocentric perspective. What that equates to is that there's a lot of pressure basically in the space that consciousness resides in, coming at it from completely different points, and among those points that it's coming from, there's certainly convergence, which basically just means there's a whole lot of pressure going down. So what I suggest is a good thing to do for New Year's Eve is take it easy. If you can, just be with people that are good for you. You don't. This is not a good time to hang out with the wrong people, because it'll just be probably greasy and unpleasant, and it won't fortify you. If your New Year's goes sideways, if you end up with a bit of a hangover the next day, don't despair, but just try to get your footing as quickly as you can. And also keep in mind that this is not actually the proper start of the year. So as far as like a new cycle beginning, it's not like it's happening, right on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So if you don't, get out of the gate at the beginning of the month with grace, don't freak out like, oh, this is going to set the tempo for your whole year, because that's not how it's going to go down. But you still want to be prepared, because the first week, at least the first week and a half of January is going to be rough for a lot of people. And so what you should be doing this first week and a half is rest a lot. The time that you stop resting should be governed both by how you actually feel physically, but also there will be a tendency in the collective to become too sleepy, too tired, too lethargic, too down. The gravity will be too heavy. So if you genuinely feel like you actually do need rest, then do that. But don't get stuck in that place. You want to try to energize and innervate yourself. Certainly don't let your mind go down any dark corridors and then brood and dwell too much on that sort of stuff. I've sent some help out, which should make a difference. If you haven't seen the most recent video yet, you can check that out. It's a sample of some of the new frequencies that we've been developing. I'm excited about it because there's technology updates I've never released to the public before. I've been working on some of these routines for a very long time, and I've wanted to share more with you guys, but I've been noticing that there are interesting media characters out there that are trying to jack some of my work. So they're using my talking points in their scripts, and it's comedic, but it's also really galling. So I've kept pretty quiet about a lot of the stuff that we've been working on, but basically what's happening is, for those of you that have used our frequencies to help with things like mood and thoughts and behavior and just your sense of well-being, if you've found any benefit from using the previous frequencies. Understand that it's the same kind of technology, but it works in a bit of a different way. So I just wanted to describe some of the differences in that technology. I'll do that in a different video. But thank you for the kind feedback on that. Appreciate the support. If you haven't seen the prior video, or if you have, there's more of a description in the last 10 minutes of that video. I think I talked for about 10 minutes just about some of the nuances, but I'll try to, for those of you that have acquired the new collection of frequencies, I'm going to be just doing another video describing more of the how-to, so I'll include that as well. And then the other thing is that if you can, this month, I'll talk about more about this in an update. This month, although it has its challenges, there are some really good spots, some really happy islands of time and space, and so you do want to know about those. One of the things that can happen is if you go through a tough time, often right around the corner is something good coming. But what can happen to us sometimes is we take a bit of a beating, and then, you know, by the time the good thing is coming, we may not be oriented properly to receive it or to take action on it. So I just want to kind of provide some support towards that. But one of the things that you can do this month that will generally be supported is learning. It's a good time to learn something, and the kind of learning that it should be is it should be some kind of subject which has use. It's very useful to you, but it should also be something that you enjoy, like that makes you happy, that makes you believe in something that matters to you. It lifts you up. You'll know it because you should feel it, and it should feel kind of like a calm, certain satisfaction. You know, like something actually meaningful is being accomplished. So this month, even when things are a little bit rough, if you're trying to figure out where you should be directing your time and energy, just learning something that's meaningful and has value and is useful, that is a good avenue to put your time and energy into. That will blossom. You'll be glad that you did. It will come in handy, probably not too far in the distant future. And then the other thing that I would say is that for those of you that have any kind of fitness regime, so if you have like a routine, an exercise routine that you do on a regular daily basis, the first week of this month you want to be a little bit extra careful. So I would say, on the safe side, cut your routine to about half of what you usually do. And the reason for that is it's very likely that muscles will be extra sluggish. It's possible that there could be a greater proneness to pulling something, or, you know, injury, that kind of thing. And you might notice things like muscles aching more longer. So yeah, basically the caution is just keep vital, don't overindulge, get ready to get through this week coming up. There's a few other things that I think will be helpful for everyone, but I will do my best to update you on that as I get the chance. So that's all for now. Happy New Year's, everyone, and we will connect with you all soon.